And our man Jason Jones of The Athletic. Jay, you following this stuff with Nick Bosa and the 49ers at all?
Yeah, I was wondering if Nick went to the Beyonce concert or not.
Well,
you think he peeped out Beyonce, or
I don't think that he did. It's just my guess. I don't think that he did.
Not his bag. Not his bag.
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't see him at like Kendrick Lamar, Golden One either. I just don't think we're going to run into the same.
He'll be live streaming that new show that's about to drop in Georgia, though. I bet he'll be all right. All right, come on, man. Let's stop it. Stop it. Come on, man. All right, everybody, grow up. You got a show to do here, and I'm resisting.
He won't be at the Eminem show either. I don't know.
Hey,
with the Kid Rock show.
I can't.
He's got front row seats for Kid Rock.
Go get a quarterback.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I said Javale McGee was going to be the first thing I asked Jason. I
have to sports.
No.
Mr. Bosa should want the biggest contract. He should. I mean, that's the way the NFL works. He's next in line.
Is he worth it? Is he worth an Aaron Donald? So the issue, Jay, I think right now is T.J. Watt tops the position group at about $28 million annually. Aaron Donald tops the non-quarterbacks at about 31.6 annually. And the belief is Nick Bosa wants to get above the Aaron Donald number, which would put him substantially above the position group number that TJ Watt has.
Yeah, and I don't think he's Aaron Donald. I think Aaron Donald's the best three technique in NFL history. I don't think he's the best defensive end in NFL history, but we know how contracts work. It's not about where you rank all time or even where you rank as a player currently. It's about when you get your contract.
Justin Herbert's not the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
No, but real quick, Jay, that's the point. The contracts don't work as in I'm the best defensive lineman or I'm the best cornerback, but pay me like you do an edge rusher. No, when your contract is up, you're paid as the highest paid cornerback in the league. They're paying him like the highest paid edge rusher in the league, but that's not good enough, or they're planning to pay him that way.
I mean, yeah, they're going to be at for me, it's hard to go above Aaron Donald. And I understand the Niners not wanting to go above Aaron Donald, but I mean, I've even when I covered the league, people have told me for years, if you want to make it work, you can make it work some way or another. It's going to be like he's going to have to maybe give a little and vice versa, but as much as I like that Niners defense, without Bosa, it ain't nearly as scary. I think Bosa is probably is the best edge rusher in the game. I mean, he's a game plan destroyer, and you've got to commit two guys to him every play. I think, especially in the passing game, good luck blocking him with a tight end. You got he changes the game, and I think if you don't have him on the field, it's still a damn good defense. And that's not act like if he's not playing that they're going to all of a sudden be 30th. But if you're talking about wanting to be a Super Bowl caliber team, you want to win a championship, you need Nick Bosa on the field. Not yet. This is Nick, not Joey. Nick, yeah, you need him on the field. That's
probably a point that we haven't stressed enough. This is about winning a Super Bowl. That's what this is about. And I can't. Javon Hargrave, that was the biggest acquisition this offseason, right?
One of, for sure. I mean,
because it feels
probably maybe the biggest.
Yeah, that feels like it was done to be in tandem with Nick Bosa and not without Nick Bosa. Because we talked about this with Eric Armstead before, and like what happened to Eric Armstead the year that Nick Bosa was out, and how that it took him like 10 weeks to get acclimated with Nick Bosa out because of the increased attention he got. You're minimizing this offseason pickup, in my opinion. You're minimizing this offseason pickup if Nick Bosa isn't around. Because now all of a sudden you've got teams, we don't have to worry about over here anymore. Right. We can focus all our attention. We got Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. We can handle that. Right. It's when you throw in, this other element that's one of, if not the best at what he does, that takes this thing from, and Jay used the example of they're not 30th. Maybe they're top, maybe they're 10th. Maybe they're a top 10 defense without Nick Bosa, but they have the potential to be like 1 or 2 with Nick Bosa.
Right.
You know who's going to be really mad if he's not there? Those cornerbacks. You know, you know how the passing game changes when we got to worry about 97. You know, you got to worry about Bosa, Armstead, all those guys together is different. It's just a difference, and then if you're offensively, if you're not worried about Bosa, you can send that tight end out on a route maybe in a situation where you wouldn't, because you don't, or you don't have to worry about chipping that guy before you go. It changes so much.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the number is, but yeah, it's crazy that it got to this point that, it's week 1 coming up and you pretty much get to assume he's not going to, at this rate, do you have him week 2? I mean, who knows? I mean, it's Tuesday and I've seen, I'm assuming if they get a deal done, he'll be in shape. But even then, to go from working out on your own to, okay, now go against NFL offensive linemen, it's a different ball game. But I think if the Niners want to win a Super Bowl, you want to keep, number 97 happy.
I would give him what he's asking, but I understand the argument for paying him as clearly the highest edge rusher in the game.
I see both sides. I see why he's asking for what he's asking for, but I also see why the Niners are like, no. I mean, like I said, to me, Aaron Donald is a once in a lifetime player. And as good as Bosa is, he's not Aaron Donald. And that's not a slight to Bosa as a player. It's just, like I said, I think Aaron Donald's the best 3 technique in NFL history.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how this unfolds moving forward with the season set to start here shortly. We can get back to the NFL, get Jay's, I'm sure, less than stellar thoughts on his Las Vegas Raiders coming up here. But since we've seen you last, your boy, Javale McGee, is officially a member of the Sacramento Kings.
Dreams do come true.
How quickly did you call the Athletic, and how willing were they to put you back on the Kings beat? No pun intended.
We're in negotiations. I've received several calls from several outlets asking me about my availability to cover JaVale McGee and JaVale McGee alone. I don't care about the rest of the team.
Brian Windhorst and JaVale McGee.
I want to hang out with JaVale. Now, like I said, I'm Meek Mill. Dream time. Dreams do come true.
I don't think this is.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this.
You ready?
How come this couldn't happen 5, 6, 7 years ago? Instead of drafting Willie Cauley-Stein, you could have just traded for JaVale and made my day.
No. Could have made Jason happy. Hashtag Jason Jones. Make Jason
Everyone's talking about they should have drafted Luka. No, this is the move they should have made a long time ago. This is the move. And
what they have when he went to Brian Windhorst had the Heat Index. Is that what called the JaVale Index?
I just hang with JaVale, man. I wouldn't care if the Kings went 0-82. I'm hanging with JaVale.
Well, we're not doing that.
No.
JaVale McGee is going to lead the Kings to a championship. That's what he's going to do.
3-time champion.
There is a buddy of mine who works in the league who talked to me about this, and he said something. I thought he kind of jumped out the window a little bit, but he said he thinks JaVale might help this team get into the top half of the league defensively, with his shot blocking ability, his rebounding, just his presence around the basket. He said it's like perfect for what they need. They can't honestly play Sabonis and him at the same time. But he, my guy was like really high on the deal on getting JaVale with the Kings. What you think about it?
That's the thing. I don't know if Sabonis and him are both playing the 5. I don't know how many minutes JaVale gets to have that great of an impact, so to speak. In terms of boosting them now, I think what's going to boost them to the top half of defensively is better perimeter defense. Because it doesn't matter who you put back there. If you're letting guys just drive to the lane, all you're going to do is get JaVale or whoever's back there in foul trouble. So I think it's going to really come down to the perimeter guys. But it helps to have a guy back there who can block shots. And then offensively in the pick and roll, you can throw throw the lob up there to him. I think he has a chance to help him. I just think I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play the number of minutes to where you'll be like, wow, he's really going to tilt things that way. But I think he's definitely going to have a chance to help them and give them something they haven't had in a long time.
I think that was we kind of had our fun with the JaVale McGee thing, as if it was like silly and wouldn't it be great? The crux of the whole thing with JaVale McGee is once you get it works. It makes complete sense. JaVale McGee was a guy we were talking about last year at the trade deadline when people were talking about, fixing that backup 5 spot. And JaVale McGee was one of those names that not as often as Mason Plumlee came up, but he was a name that came up all of the time. And that was the fun part about the news from the Dallas Mavericks is it was like, okay, we have our fun here. This actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense. It's not one of those, why in the world are you doing this type moves?
Right.
It makes sense. I mean, JaVale can get up and down the court. I think it makes sense. And, and like I said, this may be the first Kings jersey I buy.
I love it.
I may have to rock the JaVale McGee just because, like I said, I've been, ever since that day he took off from the free throw line, I'm like, that's my guy right there. He does not. I'm like, F the world. I like that type of attitude,
At least he tried.
You got to respect that.
Yeah. Do you? We talked about the battle for backup big, kind of changing after this. Do you think he goes into camp as clearly the best backup big when you talk about JaVale, Alex Len, Nerlens Noel, and Neemias Queta?
I don't know. I think so, but I also just think in terms of versatility, what do you want to do? I mean, can Nerlens play next to Sabonis? I think it's I think it's a matter of flexibility. Just kind of what are you looking for versus which opponent? I think it gives them an option they haven't had, more athletic 7-footer out there. So when you're playing, you're playing against a guy like a Jokic or a Davis who can go out and space the floor, get away from the basket. I like his chances out there better than Alex Len's being, 20 feet from the basket. So I think it gives you some different options. I think I could really see a scenario where Mike just kind of says, you know what, who gets these minutes after Sabonis might really depend on the opponent. But I think when you talk about having JaVale and Nerlens and Alex, I think if you're looking at what the Kings are going to do, you're hoping it's not one of those draw a name out of the hat. You should be able to go into a game and going, you know what, this is a JaVale night. Or go into a game and say, okay, you know what, they're playing a small team. This might be a night where, you go to Nerlens more. They got a lot more flexibility. I think what happened last season was you just didn't have any stability. What was going to happen or who you were going to go to. And some nights it looked like, okay, this is the guy. And then we're trying with this guy and that guy. I just think, if you're the Kings, you want to go in with a plan and knowing that, hey, I don't have to kind of go, okay, well, let me give JaVale a try for 3-4 games and see how it works. You want to know what you're going to do. And I think JaVale gives them a chance to help solidify that because I think he fits style-wise. And I still think there's a place for the other guys, at least a guy like Alex and a guy like Nerlens. There's a place for him still. But I just think you got to at least go into the season with a plan. This is going to be the guy. You can't go into the season going, okay, we got 1 through 6, and then we're just going to, we see what happens when that, you can't get any continuity. So I think JaVale gives them a chance at continuity.
Still a place for Neemias Queta? Because I don't think you mentioned him.
I don't see where. I mean, there's only so many minutes. And it's not like the Kings or a team are going to play 2 bigs together. You're not going to see a twin tower situation. I just don't know where the minutes are going to come.
Yeah, if you do, one of them ain't going to be Queta, though.
Yeah. I just don't know where the minutes come in. And that's where I know it sucks, especially when, if you're a fan and you've seen this guy for, 2-3 years and you want to see him get a chance. But when the Kings shifted from perennial lottery team to, hey, we're trying to win playoff games, guys like Queta get lost because now you don't have that time to sit around and say, you know what, we got to give someone like Queta needs is to know he's going to get, 12 to 15 minutes a night. to develop. And there's really no, if you're trying to, stay in the top 4 in the West, can you afford to do that and also develop? I mean, is it impossible? No, but if that was the plan, you wouldn't go out and get a Nerlens Noel and a JaVale McGee if the plan was to do that with Keita.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Nemi.
I agree. Yeah, man. I'm just saying it's a tough situation, but they got a guy that's kind of better.
Yeah,
for what
Jay
they're trying
talked
to do.
about fans hoping like you want to see Keita get an opportunity. I feel like he's maybe not necessarily during the season.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the way his summer started,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm someone who was really and still is really, really intrigued by the Neemias Queta. But like Jay talked about, the priorities of this team has shifted. Like you've got to win basketball games now, and that probably comes with guys like JaVale McGee playing at that position, or perhaps Alex Len or Nerlens Noel or whoever. But that'll be a lot of people joked about this, James Ham included. This is going to be a fascinating training camp because all of those guys aren't making the roster.
Right.
Which ones are will be interesting to see.
And you have to look at the contracts. I haven't dove in that. Who's got guaranteed money, all that type of stuff, and figure because this is not the 1980s NBA. You don't need like 5-6 centers.
Yeah, I think they're all getting like several $100,000 to show up at camp, and then everything after that is roster bonuses, day ofs, opening day, different things like that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's going to be fascinating to figure out how, like I said, but I don't think JaVale signs with the Kings under the idea that, JaVale, if you really show us something, you just might make the team.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you feel like what is your honest assessment of this team right now, of this Kings team? They finished third last year with 48 wins.
48.
What given the offseason in which they pretty much kind of stood pat with the additions of JaVale McGee and Sasha Vezenkov, like what is your assessment of this team when you think about how they'll match up against Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Warriors, whoever?
My biggest concern with them is like this, the front court physicality. Just do you have enough to deal with those teams that are going to try to come in and bully you? You saw what the Warriors did, where they pretty much told Kevon Looney, "Hey, you go out there and you just go out there and you rough him up." Make this. Do you have enough to deal with those type of guys? When the teams you mentioned, and Anthony Davis, Jokic. I think Phoenix is a little bit. Well, they have Ayton, but he's not going to be the focal point that you worry about per se. But to me, it's just that's that front court size. If teams go big at the 4 and 5, do you have the size to rebound and defend at those spots? And also just overall the defense. So I could see them still winning 48 games next season, but it's a season by season thing. 48 games might get you in 6 next year. We don't know. A lot of it's going to depend on, can Phoenix figure out who's going to play point guard? Can the Lakers stay healthy? It's what the Lakers showed from February on, who they'll be all of next season. Who plays for the Clippers next season? What are the Warriors doing with, to me, the Warriors got smaller and older. So, what happened? There's so many they should have went to me around the same number of games. I just don't know where that puts them in the West, just because pretty much everything broke the way it had to for them, especially in terms of health for them. I mean, they played a better brand of basketball. They won more games and they stayed healthy. So they didn't have to really test. I mean, I think Sabonis playing through that injury saved their season. I think if Sabonis sits, they're barely a play-in team maybe. So I just think it's just going to be a weird season because who knows who's going to be where. Like I said, I could see them. I mean, they could win 45, 48, 50 games and then be hosting a play-in game, which would not be, to me, which would not be an indication they had a bad season. It would be more that the rest of the West got healthy. I mean, Anthony Edwards is going to be a problem. I don't know what they're going to do with all those bigs in Minnesota, but Ant is going to be a problem. And he's going to get them around 500 just probably on his own. So, I mean, You think I don't know if I'm not all in on say a Utah, but Utah's not going to be a slouch. So there's a lot going on. I think the West is going to be a lot more competitive. So if they can shore up if they can get better defensively, they can to me still be a top 4 team in the West.
Do you feel like they did enough to address the issues with the big men by adding a JaVale McGee or somebody like that, or were you looking for something more like maybe a starter, that would help address that? Do you think they did enough?
I think given their cap situation, you weren't going to go out there and splurge on a guy to try to quote fix everything.
Mhm.
And I think they were going to have to rely on a lot of internal improvement. They're going to have to rely on guys getting better in those areas and trying to get some depth behind those guys. I don't know if there was going to be a fix out there they could have went out there and got just just signing a guy. Because I mean, if you went with that route with the cap space, that means you're letting Harrison and some other guys walk. So if you're doing that, who are you going to plug in? I just didn't see like a Paul George type wing guy out there. They could have just went out there and got. So to me, it was always going to be about make some smart, prudent moves. Don't tie up your money with a bad contract. Don't tie it up. Don't just give a guy a max because you have max money available. And you see what happens when teams do that. You get trapped by the cap, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why I've got this guy here who's not really helping me, but I'm paying him $40 million. You don't want to be in that situation. So I think they did the right thing. Actually, I think you bank on some internal improvement. You think you see what you got. You assume Keegan. People forget Keegan was the 4th overall pick, so that's a pretty significant level of talent that you've got on the front court that should get better next season with a season under his belt. You bank on maybe some guys, some younger guys, or I always think of De'Aaron as a younger guy, even though he's been in the league, it feels like forever. De'Aaron. I think De'Aaron's going to be so much better from that playoff experience. I really do. I really think. I think that really did something for him that you really can't quantify yet. But I think him experience and playoff level, this intensity. I think there's sometimes a guy has to see how to defend at that level, that time of year, in order to carry it over into the next season. I think your big jump is going to come from a guy like that who, we all talked about De'Aaron having potential to be an all-league defender. I think I would not be shocked to see him take that next step to where they're like, oh man, we got to worry about De'Aaron bringing the ball up at 20 whatever miles per hour, and then he's a ball hawk. Now he's all over us pressuring the ball, and De'Aaron having the confidence to know that, hey, if I do get winded, we got another guy behind me with Davion who's going to be just as much of a nuisance. So I see the improvement coming that way.
We always use the Ja Morant example where Ja had a really good season. Then he had a phenomenal playoffs. And the question would be, could Ja carry that over into the regular season like you just suggested De'Aaron would do? And he did. Like it's that playoff series catapulted him into, the superstar that he is, all nonsense aside. He's a hell of a ball player. That's, I think, what all of us are hoping that De'Aaron does, because obviously it was really, really special, as you noted, Jay, in that series against the Golden State Warriors. If it becomes one of those pick up where he left off things, man, De'Aaron is a top-tier player in the league.
Yeah, I know for years, depending on what coach you talk to, all of them would always say, if these guys could just get a taste of it, just see what it feels like to play beyond tax day, it would do so much for this franchise. So now that it's happened, let's see what let's see if they do that versus the whole, hey, we did it, everyone patted us on the back for ending the streak, and then we fall backwards, and then all of a sudden there's chaos. So I'm not expecting that, but you always got to be wary, because we've seen teams do that where they finally, break through and then things go crazy the next year or so.
Yeah, and you're not talking about Sacramento. You're talking about teams like we saw in New York. We saw, the Knicks made the playoffs, didn't make them the next year. Atlanta went to the conference finals, probably the worst thing that ever happened to them, because they thought they belonged there.
Oh man, they went to the conference finals and lost their mind. Like, oh yeah, this is what we do. It's like it's actually not what you do.
I'm sorry, was that the birth of the regular season? Is boring.
You know, it's just hard to get up for the regular season. It's just boring.
Man, Trey, sit your ass down.
It's like, come on, man. You ain't done enough to be able to pull the I'm bored. Like, you guys weren't like a top 2 seed when you got there. Like, come on, let's be real.
If De'Aaron says we're bored a week into the season next year, we're screwed.
I'm ringing it.
It's over.
Ringing the alarm.
If De'Aaron shows up at training camp, like, you know what? Can we just get to April?
We're cooked. We're absolutely cooked.
Hey Jay, man, we got to talk to you about this while you're here, man. What's your thoughts on Coach Prime and the culture's new team, the Colorado Buffaloes?
This is kind of funny to me because I remember when they were hot back in the day, like Michael Westbrook, Cordell Stewart. Like, so this is just, I think it's fascinating to me because I think now we've gotten to the overreaction in the other direction to where now it's like, how dare anyone question Colorado? They can get to the and look at their schedule. I only see 2 losses. I'm like, chill, y'all, chill. I'm like, chill. But I mean, they've now become, I think a lot of folks have now adopted them as their team. And the fact he brought back the Dion Nikes, to me, it's worth it because those shoes are back. If those shoes are going to be back, it's worth it. And I get a kick. I mean, I was like, what's that L on his jersey? Leaders and dogs instead of captains.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, he's tapped into these young guys in a way to where you knew they were going to have playmakers. You knew that you're going to have guys who are going to, go there because he would have playmakers. So I think it's going to be fun to watch because I think every week with Dion and that team, or am I supposed to call him Coach Primer? He'll get mad at me. I forget. Yeah. But I think week to week, people are going to either be way too happy or way too mad. When the fact is, Colorado won 1 game last year. They beat my Bears in one of those low points.
Well, you guys won week 1, beat North Texas.
Big ups that mighty
Texas high school team.
Well,
they're a powerhouse in whatever conference they play in. I don't know. Hey, the way the last couple of seasons have gone, I didn't know what was going to happen in North. I'm like, maybe North Texas got game, and then
they're a powerhouse in that Texas high school federation they play.
Hey, we ain't the only ones. Hey, you saw Oregon, wore out the mascots, on the push-up.
That was cold.
Some of these games, poor Arkansas State, I'm like, man, hope they got paid well for that because I don't know what to do with that game film.
Did you guys see that stat that the Pac-12 went undefeated in the first week for the first time since like 1932?
It's like 3 teams.
They're still in the Pac-12 right
now. The real Pac-12 teams went undefeated.
This year. Yeah.
So they disbanded the conference, and this is the first time they all start the season the way they did.
I am now aligned with the ACC, and I am rooting heavily against all the 3 teams that voted against Cal. So I was happy to see Dabo. God loves. God loves me. Sweeney get his
marvelous.
And here's the thing: my boy Sean Cunningham knows I've been anti-Duke and pro North Carolina since I was growing up. But North Carolina hated on Cal hard. Like their soccer coach went on this whole diatribe about how he hopes Cal and Stanford fall apart. So now I got to roll with Duke. I got to roll with Duke. I got to be anti-North Carolina.
Okay.
I got to be anti-Clemson. And what was the other traitor who was trying? In Florida State. Yeah.
Oh,
I got to be anti against them now.
They're going to be leaving soon.
Anyway. And that it kills me because now I got to actually be nice to Notre Dame too because they had Cal and Stanford's back. So
you can ride with Duke. You got friends at Duke. You can ride with them.
All good.
Yeah, I got friends at Duke. Yeah, I like Coach K. He's cool with me.
The real Coach K.
Yeah, I like the other Coach K. I'm still torn up about the Pac-12 just dying the way it is. But I will say, and I'm thinking more basketball than anything, it is going to be cool to see North Carolina and Duke come out to the West Coast every year or every other year or something like that.
Yeah.
And play basketball. That would be pretty dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be a different thing. I don't know how any of this stuff is gonna work.
I have
I
no idea.
mean, I'm just waiting for my USC people to complain when they get scheduled to play at Happy Valley in November and lose. Talk about how unfair this is, or like Ohio State has to go to LA late in the year, then the travel was too much, or But I'm really looking forward to like those UCLA Indiana games. As you saw on TV tonight, UCLA really does pack them in at the Rose Bowl to begin with.
Oh.
So when they're hosting, Rutgers in a battle of the Big Ten, can they at least change the names of the conferences?
Yeah, we got to fix this.
Rutgers.
We got to fix this.
In the Big 12, they've got like 16, 18, 20 teams.
Oh, Clemson getting their ass kicked was so.
That was beautiful,
so
Mr. Dabo. We're going to pay these players. I don't know if I can do this, man. Shut up.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for those players that you got there and won those games for you, no one would even care who you are. Now you're mad because they getting some money. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun, whoever was there before him, all would have earned their money that Dabo gladly collected and told those guys to believe in God.
Hey, Coach Prime is going to be playing for a national championship in 2 years. You heard it here first.
Before we let you go, is CM Punk the most overrated wrestler ever?
Yes.
Well, that's leading the witness. Did you let the man answer?
Just say objection, and then it'll be stricken from the record, but it'll still be out there.
I don't know. I got to think about that because part of me wants to say Hogan, but Hogan has such a bigger impact.
Hogan had a much bigger impact.
He had a bigger impact, and I don't know the thing. I'm a big CM Punk fan. I always have been a fan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I just think it's that whole AEW, like all the talent are the vice presidents. I just think it's a weird setup.
It is kind of a weird setup when you're a talent and a vice president, and you can just leave and go to the competitor.
Yeah,
like Cody was the vice president. He's just like, I'm out.
Or the talent can say, "Hey, I want to meet with the I want to meet with the vice president." No, I don't want to meet with you, but I'll post a video making fun of you getting fired.
Well,
and we'll do victory laps because you're gone. I'm like, I mean, you guys might want to consider the fact that a lot of folks didn't care about your company till he showed up. So I mean, let's not act. I mean, his shirt was selling out. I mean, I'm a pretty big wrestling fan. I've never seen a person wear a Kenny Omega or a Young Buck shirt. Well, I ain't never seen the Young Bucks out in the street.
We
overrated.
We'll end it there. We'll